So my name is Nelson Ferreira, and I am the curator of part of this Biennale. What I am doing here, I'm also a visual artist, and essentially this was an art biennale that was organized by some artists for other artists. It's a collective of different kinds of artworks. You've got a kind of a range that touches different aesthetics, different themes, different techniques, and different personalities.
My name is Anna Steinhouse-Kandelaki. So I am British-Georgian artist. I was brought up in Georgia, but I work and live in London for a long time now. I believe that my practice was influenced by growing up during instability after collapse of the Soviet Union in Georgia. So I believe that my practice is influenced by it. So I look for relationships within myself, with other people and nature. And nature is where I find calm. And this particular artwork is called Calm. It's myself sitting in front of in Regent's Park in London. And during lockdown especially, there was a lot of uncertainty and people were finding calm place. And that was my sort of inspiration for that. And I generally think that everything is connected through energy in the world. And we artists, well, I personally have a role somehow, and I explore this relationship within people, within myself. I'm quite introspective. I always had this calling to do something creative, and I always painted and drew. But then around 12 years ago, I gave up art career and changed my complete sort of direction. I never looked back. So I love what I do. And I think there is a lot to say for the artists in this ever-changing world. Especially now, we need a lot of harmony, a lot of love, interconnectedness with each other. And my work, at the moment at least, because I involve my work all the time, at the moment I think at least it is concentrated on exploring relationships. Mainly probably within myself, because at the end of the day, I think art is about yourself in a way. You are kind of expressing it. And I think the world at the moment needs a little bit of calm and harmony.
What's interesting about this juxtaposition is exactly that clashing of different aesthetics. So Francisco Ortigão, he creates these landscapes which are extremely romantic, and they're full of very fine detail, very fine line work. It's almost like etching with a pen. As on the other hand, Charlie Pickard, he paints directly from the model, and the spreading of the paint is much broader and goes straight to the large masses of light, shadow, and color.
I am Francesca Arcidiaco. I'm Italian but long-time resident in the UK. I trained in Japan in classical Japanese art, and then when back in London I picked up the traditional Western techniques of oil painting on canvas. This work is one of my landscapes of inspirational of Santorini and the town of Oia on Santorini at dusk. My attraction to this has been the quality of light reflected on the volcanic landscapes, but also the almost cubist reality of the architecture, which make it modern and at the same time realistic. I would consider this as an example of mixture of Western and Eastern inspiration. This painting in particular, through the waving of the landscape in and out of light, create a particular impression of serenity and at the same time harmony with the environment.
Christopher Lane with his wonderful gestual abstract expressionism, where most of the effects that you see on the watercolor paper, they were painted wet on wet. So there is a free-flowing movement of the brush stroke, and at the same time, colors bleed and spread, and they create these wonderful gradients and patterns.
My name is Lucille Dweck, and my painting here is called Immersion. It's a painting of my son. I always paint natural scenes. I always paint nature. I do a lot of paintings of water. I love the peaceful, meditative place that you get to in nature, and I want to express that in my paintings. I want to talk about something you can't talk about. So I'm talking about the place within you that is beyond talking, beyond, and I don't know how to point there, but the only way I can do it is through nature. If you look at them close up, they can look quite abstract, they can look, and then you walk back to a certain area and suddenly it all comes together and you see the image. You see what I'm trying to create. So often people talk to me and they say it's quite photographic or something like that, but it's not, because it's quite painterly as well at the same time.
And Jordi, Alamà mix and merging of opposite aesthetics. So you've got classical atelier system in the center, where you have the portrayal of the nude done in a very, very historically classical way, and then clashing with a expressionism and neon colors. So it's like two worlds that collide and create one artwork.
Hi, I'm Karen. I'm an artist and an urban explorer. My base is London. I am Australian though. My base is London. I have a studio near Whitechapel Gallery in East London. I walk on the London streets looking down at little tiny details and up through spaces in buildings, mainly looking for hidden spaces which very much are defined by geometric shapes. For me, the purpose of my art is when I'm doing my art, I become the person I really want to be and I love being. I'm sort of transported the whole time I'm doing it, and I just feel really, really comfortable. The purpose of it with other people is connecting with other people. So talking about my work and seeing what other people see in it, and that's just a way to open up a conversation with people.
Temsuyanger Longkumer, he's a master printmaker, so this is an etching actually. And traditionally, prints are quite small, etchings tend to be quite tiny. But Temsu, he creates these massive images. In this case, this is a monotype. What does that mean? It means one single print was taken from the original plate, and then it was hand-colored. So you've got this really, really, really fine work being done through hours, days, perhaps weeks.
My name is Marc Dalessio. I'm an American painter originally. I'm actually French now also. But for 3 years we lived in Estremoz, my wife and I. I was very inspired by the view of the castle. I think it's such a gorgeous structure, the way it sort of looks down over the village. I think for me, one of the things that's very powerful about being an artist is the fact that you're able to communicate so easily with other people. Our visual images are so immediate. And I was always interested in very traditional painting because it's a language that we all understand. And I think one of the goals of the artists today in society can be really to show people the beauty in the world around them. And so for me, the best art is often local, which is why I was very happy to be invited to the Bienal here in Estremoz, because I was able to exhibit a painting of Estremoz that could speak directly to the people who live here and show them, just that artists also come here and see something that they see every day that they might think is a very beautiful subject, but I wanted to, show that artists too find this to be a very inspiring subject, and that their world that surrounds them on a daily level is also a very beautiful, wonderful and moving experience.
Cristina Troufa, she tends to work within the subject of self-portrait, not always, but mostly, and she's got this dazzling, bright use of color. So it's a very luminous way of portraying reality. Color has got an emotional appeal of its own, and by juggling the colors, by shifting the colors, and by changing them, you can tap into different emotions, such as in this case, representing time.
I'm an Anglo-Italian watercolorist. My name is Andrea Sargeant, Branca. I work mainly on plein air, where I'm immersed in nature, and I create atmospheric watercolors. And for me, art is like a meditation. So my main aim and message is that, in this distraught world where there's so much strife and conflict, my art's aim or purpose is to soothe the mind of the viewer, meditation, to sort of flood the spirit, to calm people and make them feel serene.
Filipe Romão creates paintings that are almost like a magical realism. These are images from imagination. These landscapes do not exist. They're nocturnals, or usually during dusk, but they're imaginary landscapes of places that the artist has not visited yet, because they are not real. And contrasting with this kind of nocturnal romanticism, you've got the humorous painting of Xavier.
I'm a plastic artist, and this is the work that I submitted to the Bienal. It's called Always Being Tackled. The work reflects a lot about the human condition and how we normally are trapped inside those conditions for life. As you can see, it's a body, normally how it's used on the crime scenes when a corpse appears and it's dead, lying on the ground. And we are reflecting that on normal lives, giving that contrast of death and the living. Because I think nowadays in our society, we live like we have so much freedom, but instead we don't have that many. The work that I did reflects a little bit about that. And the playground of golf, because on golf you have a lot of tackles, and in life you have those tackles as well, and you have to manage those tackles to preserve your conditions in life. And that's why you have a red flag rightly positioned on the chest, because it's a symbol of our insecurities, our bodies, our frustrations that we carry on and battle through life.
António Faria always paints in very large scale, This is actually one of his smallest paintings. And he's got this wonderful fusion of textural elements. So you've got all kinds of different textures, from very smooth applications of paints to very rough sedimentation of pigments through the art of pastel. And I find these compositions quite Asian in aesthetics, perhaps Japanese, I would say. So it's a very complex world that also drinks a little bit from European Romanticism.
My name is Pedro Barbosa. I'm an artist from Porto. My work goes from extreme areas. It can go from abstract expressionism to photorealism, from sculpture to painting. This work is a little bit representative of this distance that I work. Like, it's two passions that I have. One of them, it's work with matter, with color in an abstract way. That is this case. I started with this small dot that I work as if it was a little sculpture made of color, and then I do its representation in a photorealistic technique. So it's two different things. Like, one is very immediate. I can half control the technique, and I'm enjoying the colors, I'm enjoying the texture. And the other part of the process, I like to be thorough. I like to do the best representation that I can from it. So it's, one takes little time, a few minutes to do, and the other one takes a long time, many hours, days, weeks to be able to do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. We're going to do the closing ceremony of the BIALE, and we're going to start with the world premiere of a film by Gianmarco Donaggio. He was nominated, you remember the film Bunda, the black and white film that got nominated for the Oscar of Best Documentary. Gianmarco was in charge of the wonderful light effects in the film, the photography, just staggering. We're going to start with this world premiere, followed shortly by 3 films that he made about Lisbon, but maybe not just Lisbon, maybe some beautiful lady that he also met in Lisbon. So it's a love story. And we will have the voice of Cátia, Alhandra, and the Portuguese guitar of Ricardo Martins. Please welcome them. Uma salva de palmas. Thank you, everybody. The album has just completed. It's finished now.